What's up, boys? Johnny here, back again with another video for you all. Just came back from the gym, took a quick shower, and now we're here. So I wanted to record this video before I ate because I felt like I would have more motivation and more inspiration if I stayed hungry for recording this video. So basically, you know, I realized myself that as like a person, sometimes I go hard and then I burn out and then I stop going, then I go. And what I realized is that consistency matters more than intensity. Because if you look at the wrestlers, the Dagestani wrestlers, if you look at the Muay Thai fighters, they don't go hard. The Muay Thai fighters, they spar lightly. And the Dagestanis, they train mostly technique instead of, here in America, wrestlers, they're scary. They're scary. But at the end of the day, the one who's more consistent with it, has dealt with more experiences with it, they're the ones that's gonna succeed. They're the ones that's gonna win, because there will be less burnout. Most wrestlers here in America, they wrestle just if you're for success, to be national champions or to compete. But wrestling in like places like Dagestan, Georgia, the Caucasus Mountains, and Muay Thai fighters, they don't train just to train. They train because it's in their culture, it's their lifestyle, and it's embedded with who they are. So it's rare that you see for them to quit, because they just keep training. Even they balance work with training. Even Zabit, he retired, but yeah, he still trains. And even Khabib, he retired, but he still trains. It's because if you've been doing it for so long, if you're doing it just because it's healthy for you, what's gonna end up happening is that if you're consistent over intensity, you're gonna succeed more. That's why, in my opinion, showing up is the number one thing that matters. Because you could go, maybe let's say you go all your best once a month, you'll be defeated by the guy who goes 1%, or let's just say 10% to be more realistic. He goes 10% every day. At the end of the day, he's gonna beat the person who goes 100% just for once a month, twice a month, because it adds up. And if you say oh, you're just getting this out of nowhere, one of the best MMA coaches for TriStar Gym even agrees. GSP, he was always consistent. He was not always about intensity. They said that when he spars with other people, he's the friendliest person to spar with. He can control his punches, his kicks, and that's honestly the best. Even if you're not gonna be a pro fighter, still that's the best way to be consistent with it, because we humans are habitual creatures. If we're so obsessed with something, we're just gonna keep doing it, keep getting after it, and keep obsessing over it. But once we quit that good thing that we used to obsess about, we usually replace it with something bad. And for me, that was playing video games. That was scrolling, doom scrolling. And just journal about it, thought about it before. That's when I started to become consistent again. Is when I reflected and said, I just use this time to waste time instead of actually improving on a skill that's actually gonna improve my life. And that's when something clicked in my mind where, I need to stop this mindset of thinking I'm going to the gym to go through a war. I'm going to the gym to give it my all. Because then you'll be defeated. Because you're not going to perform the way you're going to be. This is not a fight. Going to the gym is not a fight. It's to train. Those people in there are brothers. If you disagree with me, you have that mindset for everybody's your enemies. You're never going to improve, because if you look at one of the best teams, you look at American top team, Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili, American top team. They see themselves as brothers. They don't see themselves as rivals. You see Ilia Topuria, Alexandre Topuria with Merab Dvalishvili. They're brothers. They train together. You know, you see Arman Sarukian, you see Hamza Chimaev, you see them. You see them with Ilia Tapore as well. You see the people from Dagestan. When they train, they usually train with their brothers. And that's how they improve. Because they what's that word? They have more experience with it. They have more time on it. You know, like in PS5, you can see your hours time on a certain game, you know, in Apex Legends. UFC 5, you can see 100 hours on this game. Those people have like thousands of hours, millions of hours. Because instead of grinding video games like us as kids, they grinded in wrestling, they grinded in combat sports. And, you know, they became strong men. And, you know, David Goggins put it in a good way. You know, the only way to deal with unexpected pain is to deal with expected pain. That's putting yourself through uncomfortable positions. If you don't believe me, you think I'm just speaking voodoo, woohoo, whatever. If you look at Andrew Huberman and David Goggins' podcast, there's a certain part in your brain where it only grows by doing things you don't like. So that part in your brain can only be grown by doing things you don't like. So yeah, center for me, be the best possible person you can be.